you read the signs? Quiet, silent, hush! This is a library, not a chatter shack!
I don't know about you, but Miss Hushbaum is not the type of librarian that I would like to be. Today we're going to look at literacy activities that you can incorporate into your library to make it a much more inviting place. Today we will look at book talks, audiobooks, reading responses, literature circles, interactive displays, and journaling. A book talk is a literature activity that will get readers excited about reading, encourage them to try new genres, and persuade them to read in general. Suggestions given by Joni Richards, an internationally known expert on book talking, suggest the following when creating a book talk. Pick an interesting aspect of the book to focus on. Put those great authors' craft skills into use by using strong writing techniques that will hook the kids. Use expert presentation skills like tone, expression, and volume. Sell your enthusiasm for the book and share your connection to the book. During the actual book talk, display the book cover that's being talked about and share the title and author. The length of the book depends on the age of the audience. However, you want to do a variety of titles when giving a book talk. This will guarantee that you will reach all the readers listening. Other things to keep in mind when giving a book talk are give the book an introduction. Explain why it's a great read. Reveal enough, but not too much. You could share one passage from the book. And at the end, leave them with, if you want to know more about what happens next, you'll have to read this book. When selecting a text for a book talk, pick a book that has a plot that is relatable to the audience or a book with a very strong character. From the previous slide, you've probably determined why I use book talks. It gets the readers reading. And according to Joni Richards, she says book talks are the most fun and effective way to persuade kids to read. Here's an example of a book talk given from an educator from Simons Middle School on the book, The Shadow Queen.
This is Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine. After exposing her wicked stepmother for corrupting her father and the kingdom of Ravenspire with magic, Lorelai is forced to flee with her brother and loyal guard while she is still a child. Her father does not survive the encounter, and her magic isn't strong enough to take on the queen. Meanwhile, in another kingdom, Prince Cole, both his parents and older brother have perished, and he has been taken the throne. And unfortunately, his kingdom is overrun by ogres. And Cole has no magic for himself to kill and get rid of the ogres, so he decides to go to Ravenspire to see Queen Irena to get her magic to help him kill the ogres. Well, Queen Irena is not a nice person, as you can imagine. So she corrupts Cole into going after Lorelai to kill her for her own gain. So there's a lot of just, crazy magic going on and people being mean to each other. But of course, Cole and Lorelai see each other across a crowded room and it sparks magic romance. So you have romance, danger, there's some dragons thrown in. It's a lot of fun. This is The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine, which is also a slight retelling of Snow White for those fairies.
An audiobook is a recording of a fluent reader reading a book aloud, and this is great for all ages. Because the book is read aloud by a fluent reader, readers will see things and hear things like voice, background sounds, music, and expressive reading. These elements create mood, suspense, and a great connection to the character. One main reason to incorporate audiobooks is that it provides an enjoyable reading experience. It is also great support for students who are visually impaired, students with special needs, and English language learners. Pam Spencer Hawley, a retired school librarian and former president of YALSA, has shared the top 10 educational benefits of teen audiobook listening. 10. It removes the label of a lower reader and a label of unpopular genres. 9. Increases vocabulary skills. 8. Improves speaking and writing skills. 7. Introduces storytelling. 6. Encourages students to make mental images while reading, which triggers their imagination and deepens their comprehension. 5. Improves listening skills. 4. Makes chores and unfavored tasks more tolerable. 3. Keeps teens informed of popular books. 2. Improves their ability to multitask. 1. Lifelong learners listen, which is exactly what readers do with audiobooks. She also presents the top 10 reasons why teens really listen to audiobooks. 10. Listening is easier than reading. 9. Listening is faster than reading. 8. You can do other things while reading. 7. It's safer to listen and drive than read and drive. 6. The narrator makes the book more interesting. 5. It's easier to understand the book. 4. Different voices help the concentration level. 3. It can be a shared experience with the group. 2. It removes the embarrassment of having to read aloud in class. 1. Which is my personal favorite. You can pretend not to hear your parents. If you're interested on ways to incorporate audiobooks, Pam gives you 10 tips. 1. Make sure there is a wide selection of audiobooks. 2. Have listening equipment available and ready in the library. 3. Subscribe to online resources that provide read-to-me options. 4. Have a place for shared listening. 5. Allow audiobooks to be an acceptable option for reading assignments. 6. Highlight narrators on displays that have audiobooks. 7. Build the audio collection with award-winning audiobooks. 8. Share reviews of audiobooks. 9. Share audiobooks that will support background knowledge for class topics like history and science. 10. Be an example. Be seen listening to audiobooks in settings that students will see. Reading responses. This is a carefully crafted, open-ended discussion topic or question that challenges the reader to respond to the text. You're challenging students in 2 ways. One way is to first have to think about what the text is saying. The second way is it helps them to think about how it relates to them. By leaving it open-ended, students really get to interpret the text in a variety of ways. Why reading responses? It challenges the reader to really think while reading, instead of just picking up the words off the page. When it's tied to a class discussion or a shared discussion, it can make for a very deep analysis and understanding of the text. Literature circles. This is a small group discussion over a good fit book. The teacher selects text options for the students, and the students narrow it down to a book that they would like to read. Discussions are led by the students, and the teacher is the observer. They are the facilitator when they need to step in and help guide the conversations. Things often tied to literature circles are journals, presentations, journaling, student self-assessment, and they're incorporated to readings and discussions. Teachers and students have very different roles within literature circles. The teacher pre-selects book options for groups of students. They also group the students carefully based on gender, reading ability, and other factors. Being a good fit book is a very important part of having a good literature circle. Student roles. There's the discussion leader. They pose those great reading response open-ended questions that will lead to great discussion. An illustrator illustrates the text, things that were inspiring to them as they were reading. The word detective looks for important, new, and interesting words to share. The investigator will look for background information or topics that will support the reading. The connector makes text-to-self connection, text-to-text connections, or text-to-world connections to help bring a different interpretation to the text. The summarizer summarizes the story for the group. These different roles are really great for all readers, especially struggling readers, because it gives them a chance to connect and share about the text in a learning style that is a strength for them. Why literature circles? It gives all students an opportunity to interact with the text in a learning style that fits them the best. You might have a struggling reader who's never enjoyed reading, but when given the opportunity to be an illustrator, it gives them a connection to the text that's a good one. It also gives students an opportunity to use 21st century skills and real world skills like collaboration, planning, and time management. That's because the teacher will give the end date for when the book needs to be finished, and it's up to the group to decide how much they're going to read and when they're going to read it. Journaling is a lot like a reading response. However, it's completely done in writing, and it's completed all throughout the reading process. It's often tied to literature circles because it can be used as an assessment tool for teachers so they can see the student's interpretation all throughout the reading. It also gives students an opportunity to share their response to the text. Why journaling? The teacher gains a great understanding of the student's connections and interpretation of the reading. Introverted students have a chance to have a really strong voice because sometimes in literature circle, an introverted student might not participate as much. Readers also learn how to organize their ideas. It's open-ended, so they can use story maps, webs, maps, or any other organizational tool that really works for them. Interactive displays are teacher-made but student-driven. Students are often challenged to observe, listen, react, and respond to interactive boards or displays. It's an enjoyable way for students to engage with books. It also could hook the reader into a book that they might not have picked up off the shelf before. Teacher displays can be a variety of things. It could be a QR code book recommendation, seasonal book displays. For example, you could do turn a pumpkin into your favorite character, along with doing a reading response to support your pumpkin. It could also be at Christmas, where you are disguising a gingerbread man to another character and doing another sort of written response. It could be a March Madness, where you have a collection of books where students are voting on which book should move on next. It just creates excitement in the library and reading. You could also do book trailers, which could be a way to do a digital book talk. Or you could have a board, if you like this, then you should try this. Why interactive displays? It creates a positive and inviting culture and community in the library. And sometimes the first impression is really important for some readers. It gets the readers excited about reading, and it also will encourage readers to try a variety of genres. I hope that you have gained some new tools for your educator toolbox. Also, I hope that you are ready to add book talks, audiobooks, literature circles, reading responses, journaling, and interactive displays into your school library. Each of these activities encourage readers to read and make reading an enjoyable, memorable experience. Go out and get those readers reading. Pick one of the following activities below to complete for your follow-up activity. This activity will be completed on a Flipgrid discussion board, which you will see more information on the next slide. Further directions can be found at the bit.ly or by scanning the QR code. Here are the 4 options that you have. 1. Create and respond to a reading response question that goes along with your favorite young adult novel. 2. Explain an interactive display you would incorporate into your library and describe the purpose and how it will be managed. 3. Create a book talk on your favorite young adult book. 4. Using your favorite young adult book, answer this journal question. What was your biggest takeaway from this book? When you visit the bit.ly or scan the QR code, which will take you to the bit.ly, it will take you to the Flipgrid page. When you go to Flipgrid, the first thing you'll do is you'll log in using your Google account or Microsoft account. Then you'll push the green plus sign and start your recording. After you share the activity that you chose, you must also respond to another peer response. Remember, this is like a digital conversation. So you could say, I agree with you because, I like how could you? I disagree, I have a connection, I have a question. Can't wait to see your responses.